swiftly on.
Hello, welcome back to another tutorial. So this is our second tutorial on how to draw Toothless from How to Train Dragon. So we're going to have a look at drawing just the head in this one and trying to look at maybe putting a bit more detail and making it a bit more realistic. I know it's a cartoon, but as real as the cartoon. So if you're interested in learning how to draw this, then stick around and let's get drawing. Okay, so here we're going to have a look at drawing just the head of Toothless. So we're going to try and do a bit more of a zoomed in, a bit more detailed drawing of the head. So this one could be slightly trickier than the other one, but there is less to draw because we're only looking specifically at the head. So when we start this one, I know we'd normally start with a circle, but in this case we're going to start with a rectangle. So I'm going to draw a straight line across there, just going to start on a rectangle, a straight line down, that's going to be how wide my head is going to be. Make it like that. So that is going to be roughly how big the head is that I'm going to do. So from here, what we're going to do is on the bottom, in fact firstly we're going to split it in half. So firstly you're going to find the middle, or roughly the middle, and you're going to draw a super light line down the middle because we need to be able to rub this out at the end. Otherwise it's going to look rather odd. So I'm going to carry on going down the bottom, out the bottom of the rectangle, like that. Then at the bottom here we're going to connect this up and draw a triangle, a very flat triangle, so it's not going to be super long and pointy. This point's not going to be very pointy also because this is kind of going to be like a chin. So I'm going to go from here to here, like that. And the same on the other side. Like that. Normally I would be moving my page around so that I can draw these lines better because it's always a little bit easier to draw angled lines one way, especially if you're left-handed it's easier this way, right-handed easier that way, so you want to be spinning your book around, but I'm not doing that because it makes the video very confusing to follow. So we're going to draw a little triangle on the bottom like that. So far it does not look at all like a dragon, you are correct. So what we're going to do here is at the tops here we're going to cut off these corners because we don't want them. So we're going to draw, not cut loads off, we're just going to cut like that much off, a bit of corners, like that. This is going to start to make the correct shape for our head. In fact, maybe a little bit more needs to come off. Like that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to curve everything. Because at the moment everything's very angular and straight and we don't want that, we want curves everywhere. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here. So where this meets here, we don't want it to have that point there, and it's not very sharp one, but we want it to curve. So we're going to follow it and we're going to curve into the top. And here we're going to curve down. We're going to go across. I'm going to curve into this one here. Down, I'm going to curve again like that. Down there, we're not going to go all the way down to the bottom, we're going to go to about halfway. So what we're going to do now is we're going to draw another line to help guide us, and this other line is going to be halfway from here to here. Or maybe in fact a little bit lower, so it's actually going to be halfway from here to here. So we're going to aim about here. I'm just going to do a little line across there, super soft because we want to be able to cross it out. And I'm going to draw it all the way across, but it's going to curve slightly up. Like that. It's almost drawing like a bowl across the rectangle like that. If it's straight, it doesn't matter, you can still work with it straight. It's just going to be slightly different. So where this meets the side, this is where we're going to start to come in a little bit because we don't want this to be straight. So
we've curved in and we've come down to this line, and when we get to here we're going to step in a little bit. So we're going to stop following that line, step in a little bit, and curve down and into our triangle at the bottom. So we're going to curve it into like that. So it should go straight and then just curve in a little bit and then curve into our triangle at the bottom. And we're going to follow, and we don't want to point at the bottom of our triangle either, so we're going to curve that. We're going to go up, and we're going to do the same that we did here on the other side. So we're going to go down. When we get to our curved line, we're going to step in a little bit, curve, and then into our triangle. Like that. And you're going to follow it all the way down and join up. And that's sort of basically the shape of our head. And I think maybe that should have possibly cut a little bit more off than that. But we'll see how it works out. Yeah, and I'm going to rub these lines out now because we don't actually need them anymore. We'll stick with our first line actually. Let's see how it turns out. And we don't need these anymore either. So we'll just get rid of those. Right, next step. We're going to put the eyes on because the eyes kind of determine or tell us, you know, where everything else is going to be. So our eyes, the reason that we did this line here was kind of to show us where our eye is going to be. So it's going to start just above this line here. So we're going to go up a little bit, and then we're going to draw from here one big curve to here. The eyes are quite big on Toothless's face, so we're going to curve like this. To about here, so not onto the lines, but just above the line. And then we're going to do a similar curve the other way like that. It's quite a tricky shape to draw, and if you think it's hard to draw once, the even harder bit is drawing it again on the other side, because it's going to be kind of similar shape. And then we're going to put our eye in, so our eye is like a long oval like this. I'm just going to put a little bit there. So that is one of our eyes, and just above it we would do an eyebrow. Well, not an eyebrow, but we're doing a line that might look like an eyebrow. It's more just to help the shape of the head. And now what we need to do is repeat this on the other side, which is probably the tricky part. So you need to make the gap from here to here about the same, and you want to come up from the line about the same and aim for the same spot. This is going to be really hard, and there's no way mine are going to be perfect at all, but you might need to have a few goes at this. So obviously make sure you're using light lines, that way you can make sure you're able to rub them out if you don't like what you've done. Now I'm going to curve up the same again. Aim for up there. Now I'm not as good at drawing curves this way, mainly because I'm right-handed and I haven't turned the page, so it's quite tricky to do. I'm going to do the best I can. And you notice I'm going over the lines again and again, trying to get the shape that I want. And I've made that a bit too pointy in the corner, I think. Not curved enough. Don't think that's too bad. Fairly happy with that. Now, they don't have to be exactly the same, but if one is massive and one is absolutely tiny, it might look a little bit. Mine is too far this way. Now I look at it, so actually I'm going to change mine to move it that way. Very rare that I get something right the first time when it comes to drawing. You normally have to have a couple of goes at it. But if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing. So, fairly happy with that. I think I can live with that. I'm going to draw another eye in. Like that. And another eyebrow. Again, the eyebrow needs to be similar, otherwise it will look a little odd. Right. So once you've got your eyes in there, we're going to look at the mouth and the nose, or the nostrils. We're not really going to do a nose as such. So the way we're going to do the mouth is we're going to start here, in the corner here. We're not going to start right up against it, but here. And we're going to draw a line following this line at the bottom until we get to here. And then we're going to curve it and go to the other side. So we're going to start here. Draw a line, leaving a little gap there. And then curve. And then go up to the other side and stop at the same place and then come back again and just draw another line again. Like that. And I chose to put a couple of teeth in. One there, one there. And then I also decided I would make a little tongue sticking out so it doesn't look quite as evil. So that should go up, and then we will join it at the top. Like that. So you should have a little bit of the mouth going on there. Right, and then at the bottom here, because we still need a little bit of the jaw, we're going to follow this line, and then we're going to come away like that and draw a bit of a kind of chin on the bottom. It's basically an upside, it's basically a W. We're basically doing a curved W on the bottom. Right, that's the mouth. That's all we're going to do on the mouth for now. Right, so we're going to put two nostrils in now. Now the nostrils are going to line up with the bottom of this eye, but they're going to start about here. So we've got this grid here, so we can work out that one's going to start there, one's going to start there. So we're going to draw this piece, and then all we're going to do is just go up like that. And the same with this side. I'm not going to put loads of detail into the nostrils, I'm just going to do that. Fairly happy with those. Mine kind of look a little bit like Nike ticks, but that'll be fine. And then we're going to look at the spikes coming up his head. So this line here, another reason why I've done this line here, so we know where to put the spikes. So they're going to start between his eyebrows here. And what we're going to do is we're going to draw a triangle without the bottom on. And then we're going to turn it into a diamond, like that. Another triangle, into a diamond, another triangle, into a diamond, triangle, diamond, and then we get to the top, and the top one should come off the top of his head, into a diamond like that, and I made them quite spiky actually, but we should be a little bit more curved. That's kind of up to you, how you want to do them. I'm going to make them slightly more curved than I originally did, because I didn't really like the look of them. Right, so they're going up his head. And then in these gaps here, like on our other video, if you've watched that, we're going to do some hints at scales. So what we're going to do to do that is some really kind of random scaly shapes. We're not going to do the whole thing, we're going to aim to make sort of like a triangle of scales going up to the eyebrow, like that, and the same on the other side. These are just super random shapes, you don't have to do that way, but basically just like scaly cloud looking things. So it's just kind of hinting that he's got scales. And it doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, and having a random one a bit lower might look cool as well. that's going to be that. So, next step, we need to add the spikes on the side of his head, the spikes on top of his head, and also the ears. So I'm going to start with the ones on the top of his head because these are the easiest, I've said. So you're going to start here, and you're just going to go curved line up like this. These look more like horns, and then join it up like that. And the same on the other side. I would aim to try and make these fairly symmetrical, but again, don't have to be perfect. So we'll do one there, and one there. In fact, I think we probably want to be a little bit bigger. So I'm going to do them a little bit bigger. Now I'm not used to drawing heads quite this big, so I find it quite difficult to decide how large things should be, because I've drawn this once before to have a little practice and learn how to do it, but I drew a lot smaller than this, and I find it a lot easier to draw things smaller. Not really sure why. There we go, right, so that's going to be the basic shape of our horns in our head. Now we're going to do the ones on the side of his head. So the ones on the side are going to start where we've cut the corners off here. So we're going to start here, and we're going to go up, we're going to curve up like that, and then we'll get to where the top of the spike's going to be, which is about in line with the top of the head. We're going to go down like this, and then come back towards there like that. I'm not making them super sharp and pointy, because a lot of things on Toothless aren't actually that sharp and pointy. It's not a super spiky and angular kind of dragon. And then we're going to do one ever so slightly lower. It's just going to go out and then come in. Again, not super spiky. And we're going to do another one here. How many you do here is kind of completely up to you. I'm just going to do enough to fill down to where I've made his mouth. Like that. We're going to do the same on the other side. So we're going to go up. Like that. Again, this is kind of the hard part, because if you're trying to make it symmetrical, it can take a long time trying to make it look right. Like mine right there, you can see I'm not really made it the same. I'm not too worried about that. It's fine. Still pretty happy with it. Do that. And we're going to do one more down there. And what we're still missing is the ears. So the ears up here is what these two caps are here for. So for the ears, we're going to start here where we've cut off the corner. So where we cut off the corner of the rectangle, and we're going to go up, and we're going to curve this way, like that. And then when we get to here, it's going to be slightly pointed, but not really pointed. And then we're going to curve back down again, next to this spike that we did. Same on the other side. This way you can see mine isn't quite symmetrical, because this corner here seems to have a massive gap, but I'm not too worried. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to aim to try and get to the same height. Again, making ears symmetrical is a really tough thing to do, but the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. I'm just trying to do soft lines so I can rub them out if I'm not happy with it. Do that. I don't think that's too bad. And then on the inside, there's these little kind of circle bits sort of sticking out. That's what we'll do. And they're possibly a bit big actually, so let's rub those out. I've got a bit carried away there. I want to be a little bit smaller. Got so carried away, you can see I've pressed down really hard, so it's made it really hard for me to rub out. You want to do the same on the other side. You can tell mine's not all that symmetrical because of this gap here. I know I keep pointing it out, but that's what I see. But you shouldn't be worried about it. Don't be too critical. And also, at the top here, do a little line like this, which is just to make it look a little bit more 3D. Show the top of the ear, and we're also going to put some hints of scales down here as well. I'm going to make them slightly bigger than I did on the ones on the nose. And I'm only going to run down this side of the ear. And the same on the other ear. And then we just need to put a neck in at the bottom. So here, I'm just going to, where we've got the bottom of the chin here, or the top of the jaw, sorry, just going to draw a little curved line coming down. And the same on the other side. I'm not going to look at the rest of the body at the moment because I wouldn't have space anyway. And I'm just going to quickly go over all of this with a fine liner, and I'll get back to you. Just going over it all with a Sharpie, sort of fine liner type pen. And let's just have a little rub out of all these lines that we don't need anymore. So you can see there I've pressed down quite hard, which means I can actually very easily rub out guidelines. Let's see if we can get all these bits rubbed out. And have a look at now, I didn't join up on the ears like I think I probably should. I think it might look better. Yeah, I think the same with these horns down the side of the head. Otherwise I don't think you can see the shape of the head well enough. That's better. The same probably these two horns there. Toothless from How to Train a Dragon.
So I hope you enjoyed having a go at drawing Toothless's head. Now, this was probably slightly harder than the other one. Now, although there's a lot more going on in the other one because of the body, I think the shape of the head and starting with the rectangle and cutting off all the corners and everything, I think it was possibly a little bit more difficult doing this one, but I think it has turned out pretty good. So as always, I would like to see yours. If you have had a go, feel free to ask your parents to send me it on Dojo. And until next time, keep on drawing.